Enoda enemra shebedwefie no eyade a MPs ahodo na ekopie mu ewo ho na omokoye no ni na efa ye LGBTQ hwan plus ya sese de betwa gu ye na aba fontenta so man yi mu ayensem we ebepie mu a enche ye bia kwa na omo pass bill say sese no wa ye bachi so wo ye trumu sope ne ehon kaka ho oba ofa bema ofa ne yonko bema no ne trumu no wa ye bachi so yes, I didn't be piano. I just say no bill pan, I just say, yeah, the babeto or a day amount. Say, I chose say, what I said, we are true, I bear my warning, Uncle Beman, I saw warning or about warning, Uncle Bayan, say, I say, a chowa. And the Embrano and Ubedi and Cassaway, and someone would then just say no, Sam George at the Babeto Parliament and rather or more edu abo.
On behalf of the minority caucus in Parliament, we want to thank you once again. We met you about 3 weeks ago to express our gratitude to you as the media for walking this journey with us. It's been 3 years since this bill was conceptualized. It was in February 2021 that a statement was read on the floor of the House, and we said we were bringing a bill to deal with the menace of the advocacy of LGBTQ activities in Ghana. Today, the 28th of February 2024, after 3 long years, we as sponsors, the 8 of us, the Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Bedra, the Honorable Della Soa, the Honorable Helen Ntoso, the Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dafia Meko, the Honorable Alhassan Suhini, the Honorable Rita Na Odole Soa, the Honorable John Intim Fojo, and myself, Honorable Samuel Nate George, have, with the support of the Right Honorable Speaker and majority of the membership of the House, successfully brought a close to the 3rd reading of the Family Values Bill and Human Sexual Rights Bill 2024. It is our belief that this will be communicated from the Speaker's Secretariat expeditiously to His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It is our hope, our prayer and belief that President Akufo-Addo will be a man of his words and stick to the words he spoke to the Anglican Church in the Eastern region when he said, under his watch, LGBTQ will not be established. When he gave assurances to members of the clergy that he was going to ensure that anything that promoted LGBTQ will be dealt with. There is nothing that deals with LGBTQ better than this bill that has just been passed by Parliament. We expect the President to walk his talk and be a man of his words. We're grateful to the media and will continue to work with you going forward in the sensitization of the public. As sponsors, we once again want to reassure the media that you are partners in this battle and in this struggle. The intent of the bill has never been to gag your Chapter 12 rights. We respect your rights to editorials, but you and I all know that editorials are different from advocacy. And so your editorial rights to issues on the subject of homosexuality, issues on the subject of Ghanaian family values, would continue to be protected by us as sponsors and the Constitution of the Republic.
Abusia for video no ana yakwa kwhwe edi abano na echire no na chesa Sam George Honorable or grantee interview bi ana papa nsam a watch ni nanse sese no sani ansam ni na akwa kowie no ombesra His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo so ono ankasa edi nensa enya krata so obesan ni edi amamo na mmom de se Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo so wansan ni Sam George say anyame na miko Sam George say se Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo so wansan ne de ende sese no emra hye no ono ankaso to me hu say third ya fa say 2/3 out of population so no mo ewo wono omo nyina ebeji atomu enu ti so omo ajutumu de en ya pass bill no de ya de a omo be pass.
You've been a
a reliable partner on this journey for 3 years. You've given us the opportunity to clarify portions of the bill that had been intentionally and maliciously twisted by opponents of the bill. And so we consider you our greatest ally in this journey. Going forward with the public sensitization, we would still depend on the media. However, we realized that the latest spin had been focused on clause 10 and 11 of the bill, which dealt with the propagation, advocacy of support for the prohibited acts under the bill. And the latest spin had been that we were reintroducing criminal libel law, and even media houses could no longer have editorials on the subject matter. And so we decided to say that, look, for the avoidance of doubt, we'll put it inside of the bill that this is subject to the 1992 Constitution, because the sponsors of the bill will respect the Chapter 12 rights that the media has, the freedom of expression. But the media is also guided by ethics. There's a difference between editorials and advocacy. Editorials are informative and educative. Yeah. Advocacy are opinionated. And so for us, we don't have a problem, and that's why we introduced that these provisions are subject to the provisions of the Constitution. That phrase was introduced so that all the things in clause 10 and 11 are subject to the Constitution. Chapter 12 of the Constitution that deals with the freedoms of the media. Okay. Article 162, I believe, and all that gives you the freedom to express yourself. However, those freedoms are guided by your ethics. Okay. And that's why you would not advocate for something that is a criminal offense. That's why you would do Joy, for example, before we started this show, you could have chosen to do an editorial on money laundering or anti-terrorism, but your editorial will stop short of advocating for those things. Okay. And that's the simple point we're making here.
Okay, so now it's been passed. Let's have an appreciation of what the document actually states right now, currently. There's a 3 years imprisonment bill. There's 5 years. I mean, what exactly does the document state?
I don't have the document.
I mean, just highlights of it.
I think that we have 3 categories of offenses, or 4 actually. 4 categories of offenses in the bill. Category 1 is where we criminalize the acts of homosexuality, lesbianism, gays, transgenders, and all of that. That is considered, if you're found guilty by a competent court of jurisdiction, you can be subjected to a fine of, I think, not less than 750 penalty units, and not more than 2,000 penalty units, I think. Or a jail sentence or custodial sentence of 6 months minimum, maximum 3 years, or depending on the facts before the court, a combination of both. So that's one offense. The second group of offenses are for persons who propagate, advocate, and spread the criminal offense of homosexuality, because it's been criminalized by the Act. Now, even that is broken down into 2 categories: those who do the general, and those who do targeted at children, persons under the age of 18. Now, that comes with a prison sentence of a minimum of 5 years and a maximum of 10 years. Then you also have persons who willingly fund such prohibited activities. They also have a punishment that is 5 years to 10 years. Then you have a 4th category of persons who carry out extrajudicial treatment, who, because there's a duty to report, that if you see this, you report to lawful authority. We've defined lawful authority to include traditional rulers, members of parliament, and all of those. Now, you either report to them, but if you fail to do that and you carry out extrajudicial treatment, that's where people lynch persons. You can go to jail for between 6 months and 3 years. So the bill itself takes care of extrajudicial. So those are the 4 various regimes that I readily remember
are stated in the bill. This pro-LGBTQ agenda, read the Constitution in bits and pieces and omit certain parts. Because if you read the 1992 Constitution that you say gives you rights, or gives the people you advocate for rights, did you read the Constitution to realize that rights can be curtailed on the basis of public morality? And do you understand what morality and public morality is? Do you understand what public health is? Dr. Manda Odoy admits that in the course of their work, they have to deal with people who are at risk because of their sexual activities. And you don't think that that constitutes public health? And again, the misinformation. I don't know if she's referring to the bill that myself and my colleagues have authored. But you see, people have created their own impression of the bills and are fostering their misinformation and miseducation on people. First and foremost, I mean, several of the claims she's made here that you can't go and apply for a job. Why? When you're going to apply for a job, does anybody ask you who you slept with in your bedroom? Am I the one asking LGBTQ practitioners to define themselves by their sexuality? What happens in the confine of your bedroom remains the business of you and your partner. Nobody's coming into your bedroom to find out what's going on. But when you decide to define yourself by what is supposed to be your private sexual preference, then it becomes a matter of public policy, and public policy will apply to it. And if this is all about funding for you, I am more interested in the sanctity of Ghanaian children and not the funds that you receive to do what you claim is academic research. You travel to countries like Qatar. Some of you travel to Qatar. Some of you travel to Saudi Arabia. And when you go there, you abide by the laws there. You just showed Nigeria. Nigeria's punishment is 15 years. Yet they go to Nigeria, they go to these countries and respect the law there. But think that Ghana should become a jungle because we think that we are Yesuyatra, because we think that we are so liberal. The Americans who are funding you, in American states, they are passing legislation to curb LGBTQ. 2 days ago, Tennessee passed legislation in its house that banned the flying of even the flags. They've not just banned the activity, you can't even fly the flags in public schools right now. They're protecting their children. And so what they are rejecting in their own countries, you want to come and impose it here. In the United States, 27 out of their 50 states have laws that ban one form or the other, LGBTQ. That's more than 50% of their states. And yet you want to paint a picture that you are so academic. How academic are you? Are you the places you are getting the funding from? In their own home countries, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, is pointing out that homosexuality makes a person 400 times, a homosexual person is 400 times more likely to abuse substance and be an alcoholic and be a drug abuser than a heterosexual person. And it constitutes a health crisis. A homosexual person is 400 times more suicidal than a heterosexual person. Not me, the CDC. It says that a man who has sex with another man is 400 times more likely to get HIV/AIDS than a heterosexual man. And you think that this is something that we should allow you advocate for in the name of academic freedoms? Well, rights are definite. And I'll be glad for you to go and test the law in court and show to the courts what rights you are defending. And you see, let me just wrap up with this, Aisha, because I'm sure you want to bring in a few other people. It's extremely important that we understand that in this country, nobody is marginalizing any group of people. And Michael makes that point, that why do we need this law? Because you have Section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act. Well, maybe, Michael, you should go and read the Attorney General's memo to Parliament. In that memo, the Attorney General actually applauded us because Section 104, if you read Section 104, in light of the Supreme Court's ruling in Banusin versus the Republic 2014, where natural canal knowledge is defined by our Supreme Court, you realize that Section 104 is discriminatory because it cannot apply to lesbians because it talks about penetration. And lesbians do not have a natural organ for penetration. And so the Attorney General is unable to prosecute any female engaged in lesbianism under Section 104. And so when you have a law that is 1960, which at the time was dealing with what was the known form of homosexuality, and today you have transgenders, you have all kinds of insane perversions being bandied around as lifestyles, and we are making our laws representative of it, you say, why are we doing that?
Ebisu and for mess also do agent no ever to comment section or a day among me while like you and so now I share. I'm before France so any be I share.